The sound of pages turning means it's time for another episode from the Meredith Library podcast studio, bringing you the library's latest news, information, and fun.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode number 9 of Check It Out. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Matthew.
Are you ready to jump into June events with me?
I have never been more ready for anything in my whole life.
All right, I'm excited. We have lots of fun stuff coming up here at the Meredith Public Library in June.
We do. And summer, that's our busy season. That's where we really bring out the big guns.
Everyone keeps telling me that, so I can't wait to find out. It's going to be my first summer here as an employee. In the past, I was a patron, so I was one of the ones giving you guys all the business, I guess.
Yeah, and now you're one of us.
All right, and I'm glad to be here. It's a wonderful time. So why don't we just jump right into the first event? What do you have on the list to talk about?
Okay. On Saturday, June 1st, from noon to 1:30 in the function room, there will be an event titled Bringing Audiobooks to Life, Behind the Scenes Look at Audiobook Narration.
I actually know the narrator who will be doing that. She has narrated some of my books, and She is wonderful. And she will be appearing on Zoom, I said live from Los Angeles. So people have to come to the function room, though. We're not putting out a link for them to see it online. She's just going to be appearing online, so she's going to be on the big screen in the function room.
That's exciting. Yeah, and a lot goes into audiobook recordings. It's not an easy... You record some of your own, right?
Yes, and the purpose of this program is to give people a background understanding and look at what happens and what goes into the process. So a lot of people think, oh, that would be such a great career. Oh, I'd love to do narrate an audiobook. So this will let them know exactly what it takes and give them more information to find out if they really do want to do that. And it may inspire them to want to do it. So anyone who's interested in audiobooks or just, from the point even of listening to them and wants to understand a little more, behind the scenes stuff should enjoy this as well.
Yeah, even since working in AV on this podcast with you, I've gained a higher appreciation for the audiobooks that I read or listen to. I think about that stuff more. I think about how long they must go into everything.
Yeah, so you're thinking about the work it takes and the editing and, what the software looks like in the background, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yes.
We also have on Tuesday, June 4th from 5:30 to 7:30, basic sewing in the makerspace. There are 7 seats left. It's a 2-part event. The first one is on June 4th. The second is June 11th, both on Tuesdays. And it's basically just some main sewing techniques about how to coordinate fabrics, threads, machine needles, your basic sewing.
Yes, in fact, I think that's the title, Basic Sewing, as a matter of fact. And the important thing about that, or an interesting thing about that, is people are encouraged to bring their own sewing machines. Because, of course, every machine is a little bit different, right? So this way, people are practicing on their own machine that they would later be using at home. And then they can make sure they understand how to use their own features of their own machines. And if you do not have a machine now at all, and you're just interested in learning basic sewing, the library does have 3 machines that are available, which can be reserved on a first-come, first-served basis. And if you look on the website, it tells you how to do that to emailing Erin, and it has her address.
Perfect. Have you ever sewn anything?
Well, only by hand, not on a machine, because I'm afraid I would sew my finger to the fabric or something if I ever touched one of those machines. But I have sewn buttons back on all the time when I have, the kind of shirt I'm wearing now. These button-down shirts, the buttons do pop off.
Yeah, I want to learn how to sew more. I think it's a good skill.
Well, maybe people will be taking the class with you then. Maybe you'll be sitting right next to them.
Well, I'm working on Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30, but I'm sure it will come up again. It's a popular event. We have it every so often.
Wes, it's also coming up again in August, as a matter of fact.
Yes, there we go. We also have our Naughty Knitters classic, Naughty Knotty.
Yes.
They are our very chill knitting group, very laid back. They meet in the historic reading room.
That's in the first floor of the library, one of the front rooms where the fireplaces are.
Yeah. And everyone just sort of sits around and you knit at your level. And work on your stuff.
Yeah, and people socialize. I hear them talking to each other and laughing and having a good time.
On the 6th as well, from 5:30 to 7:30, we have the Meredith Library Crafters Club.
And people can bring their own projects, right? That is the one where they get to bring their own stuff to work on. And again, kind of socialize, very similar to the knitting one.
Yeah.
You're just working on your own project at your own pace. You can ask advice of other people there. You can say, oh, what do you think of this? Whatever. So you have that interaction that you might be doing in this hobby, and you don't have to be isolated with it.
Right. Yeah. You can get together. Again, everyone has their own projects, but there can be some collaboration, some advice, and just some general social interaction.
Right. And it's nice to work on things with other people who are interested in the same type of things you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much like our writing group, which is probably on your list.
Oh,
is that next?
Not before Crafternoon Wine Cork Flags.
Oh, well, we better get to that first. We have to know one's priorities.
Which is on the 7th from 1 to 3 in the Makerspace. And it's a $5 fee, and there are 3 seats left.
So they're going fast for that then, because I'm assuming it was a 10 to start, right?
I'm not sure. Do you know what a wine cork flag is?
I do not. So I think we'll be having to walk up there and check it out so we can educate ourselves.
On the 11th, from 10 to 11, in the function room, we have Computer Club with Chris, and I show up sometimes.
Oh, well, tell us about that then.
So Chris and I, when we do it together, he is the tech expert, so he helps anyone who attends with general tech questions. And when I come in, I attack the whole program from sort of more of a media literacy direction. So spreading awareness about the sociological implications of certain technologies on society. So we've gone over AI, we've gone over algorithms. I'm working on one about password hygiene, which I don't think will be this upcoming month, but the month after. My password hygiene isn't great. It just means you have complex and different passwords for all of your...
Right, rather than people who reuse the word password as their password all over the place.
Don't do that.
Exactly. Tip number 1, do not use the word password as your password.
But also on the 11th, Matthew, is your writers group from 5:45 to 7:45.
So people can come in, are welcome to come no matter what writing projects they are working on. If they're working on novels or screenplays, we've had people who are interested in nonfiction memoirs, in writing journals, people who are doing poetry. We had someone come a few weeks who was working on poems. So all writers are welcome. We get together first as a group and cover some topic. I usually call it a mini lesson or I'm just passing along something I've learned along the way in the writing process. And then people have free time to write their whatever project they're working on. Then we'll also get together at the end one last time for people if they want to share anything, like how their writing went that night or whatever. And throughout the entire time, we have cookies and tea available and something like, little refreshments to get people keep them going, keep the energy level up as they are working on their projects. And we always have a good time.
Yeah, and I think one of the hardest things about being a writer is writing.
Well, I actually mentioned this in the class last week. There's a famous line that says, how do you write a novel or how do you write a screenplay? And the answer is apply the seat of your pants to the seat of the chair.
Right.
Plus, you can have a standing desk now, too, and it might be okay. But you get the idea, though.
So this sort of helps people that might be a little distracted at their home or might have a hard time carving out that time to work on their art and on their writing to coming here and being able to do it.
Yeah, so it gives them a dedicated time to know you can get away from the kids, the cats, whatever you need a break from. And for a 2-hour period here on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays at 5:45 p.m.
Love it. Okay. 2 more groups on the 12th, which is a Wednesday, from 6:30 to 7:30. In the function room, we have a program called When to Claim Social Security Benefits, which sounds very informative.
Yes, so we have a certified financial planner who is also a senior vice president at his wealth management firm. He will be coming to talk about that very important topic, and he has done this presentation at other libraries as well, and told me that this is among the most popular presentations he does. People wanting to know when is the best time to claim Social Security, what factors go into making that decision, and even how Social Security benefits are calculated. That's all part of the presentation. People can come listen to him, get that information, and ask their questions as well.
And get financially empowered.
Exactly. And, you can't be afraid of making those decisions. You need the information to make them wisely.
Yep. And again, it's at nighttime, which makes it kind of more accessible.
Right. I mean, well, it's funny because you actually would think that, well, if people are coming to find out about claiming Social Security, then they must still be working. I mean, that seems like a logical, reasonable deduction. However, when I mentioned that to him, his name is Matthew also, the person who's coming.
Matthew twins.
Yeah, it's Matthew twins. So when I mentioned that to him, he said that isn't necessarily the case because there can be people who have they've retired from their jobs, they might be getting their pensions yet, but maybe they did that at an earlier age. So they don't want to claim the Social Security yet because they want to get the maximum amount they can get from that. So that kind of sees right there how the different factors play in and how complicated it can get. And that's why people need to get the expert advice that they can.
Sounds awesome. Sounds like a great program.
Mm-hmm.
And our final program for the first half of June is the Mystery Book Club on June 13th from 10:30 to 11:30.
Yes, and we are reading What Happened to the Bennetts by Lisa Scottolini. I believe that's how you pronounce it, because it could be Scottaline, but probably not.
Scottolini sounds correct to me.
Sounds better. Okay, so that's what I go with. So Lisa Scottolini, What Happened to the Bennetts? So people can get the book here at the library ahead of time if they need to. We have several copies at the circulation desk. They will come to the mystery book group on, what day did you say it was?
The 13th of June on a Thursday.
Thank you. At 10:30 in the morning. That's when we hold the discussions, and they can come and get to share their opinions on the book, what they liked about certain characters or didn't, perhaps how they would have done it differently if they were the author, if they think that it could be improved upon, or how brilliant they thought the author was in one way or another.
I feel like with mystery books, people tend to have a lot of opinions on, you know, how well the mystery was developed. Yeah, if it was too obvious, if it came out of left field and made no sense, if the twist made sense with the rest of the characters. Like, it must be hard to write mystery books because if you don't line everything up perfectly, people get very picky about it.
Right. And in previous book discussions on our mystery, book group days, we've had those points brought up about, well, wait, this kind of fell apart here because a thread was left dangling and never actually explained or whatever. So you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep that airtight.
Absolutely. All right. I think that concludes our first half of June, right? Jump into June events for the first half of the month.
I think it does.
All right. So you have a question of the episode you want to bring up.
I do. Yes. Quick little last question. I wanted to ask you, Matthew, and anyone that wants to contribute, a very library question of what was the last book you read?
All right. I actually read a brand new book that was right in the lobby of the library on the new nonfiction shelf. It was called House of Hidden Meanings, and it was RuPaul's memoir.
How was that?
Well, I was a little bit disappointed, I have to say, and I feel like this isn't really a spoiler. I think people should know this if you're going to read the book, because I was particularly interested in finding any background information about the show, RuPaul's Drag Race,
right,
and when, that was developed and how that came about and maybe some, behind the scenes production things. Anyway, and I forget the exact year. I'm going to say it was like 2009 or 2010 when that show premiered. But the book actually stops more like in 2004 or whatever it is, some other time. The book doesn't even mention anything past a certain point in RuPaul's life, and it was before the TV show. So I thought that was a very odd choice for them to make at the publishing company. Yeah,
so it didn't go into the part of his life that you were the most interested to.
Right, exactly. You think, we're already up to, the book just came out, literally last month, right? And we're into 2024, so we're missing the last 20 years of his life with all the things that he's done and, people he's met and whatever, the whole
That's
thing.
A lot of life to leave out.
Right, so doesn't it give you the idea that there might be a RuPaul memoir part 2?
One could hope.
Yes, anyway. So that was mine. What was yours, Anna?
I just finished a book called Patricia Wants to Cuddle.
Okay, never heard of that one.
It is about this group of people who are basically on the final four of The Bachelor, but it's called The Catch. And they've lost all their money in the show. Like, they can't afford to go to Tokyo like they wanted to for production. So they go to this sort of island in Washington State called Otter's Island. And then there's a big kind of like female Godzilla-esque gorilla that terrorizes and kills them.
Okay. Is the gorilla named Patricia by any
Yes.
by any chance? Okay.
So it was very interesting. It was very satirical.
So clearly yours was fiction.
It was, yeah.
Okay. All right. But it sounds like you enjoyed it.
Oh, I did. It was silly. Libba Bray, who's a young adult author who I read when I was a kid, she has this like book called Beauty Queens, which is about a group of beauty pageant girls like having a plane crash and landing on an island, and all of them like pulling together all their resources, and a lot of it's like lipstick and stuff.
Right. What would they do?
It sort of felt similar to that.
Okay. And was that a book from here at the Meredith Library?
I got it off Libby.
Okay. And of course, Libby is available then to any Meredith resident who is a patron here and has the library card. So they can all find that book. And if they need help finding Libby, they can start at our website. It has links to where to download the Libby or Hoopla, the other electronic service. And they can always ask us for help as well at the circulation desk so we can get them set up.
Yes, your friendly librarian is always here to offer a helping hand.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you, Anna. I'm looking forward to these June events.
Yes, me too.
All right, we will see everyone next time. And until then, keep reading and get ready for summer reading coming soon.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone. Sounds like we're at the end of another chapter. Podcast music titled Daytime TV Theme by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0. Podcast copyright 2024. Meredith Library Podcast Studio.